Africa. Honorable Minister, I'll go straight to the directive that you gave on the 31st of December through the correspondence that you wrote. You know, Minister, when I'm looking at that correspondence and the timing of it, I can say that it was very much contentious, given the fact that you were aware that the National Commissioner was on leave, and you didn't even have at least to brief the National Commissioner with your intentions to disband the PKTT. So that's why I'm regarding that directive, and it has that immediate effect on it. That's why I'm saying that the timing of that correspondence to me. Do you agree to that, Minister? Yes, we'll respond and come back.
Yeah, just specifically, do I agree to what?
If I'm saying that the timing of issuing the letter, knowing quite well that the National Commissioner
Yes.
was on leave.
Yes.
And you had time sitting with the Commissioner, maybe 3 days before, you can say that I've got this intention.
Yes.
When the National Commissioner goes, we will say that the National Commissioner was aware. That's
Can
my
I say
question.
the National Commissioner was aware of my letter?
Of your intention to disband and issue a letter to that regard with an immediate effect. Because on the 31st, you issued a letter with an immediate effect. So it means that it came abruptly.
Okay. Now, let me start with immediate. Immediate should never be read outside of preliminary report, outside reference to the preliminary report. 2, it should never be read outside the meeting that was indicated in the directive of UNESCO, because it will definitely be out of context. It will be like, I just sent the word, terminate with immediate, terminate immediately, like a switch on the wall. Please, when you look at immediate, look at preliminary, look at the other meeting that was intended at the end of January. You will see that as we wrote in immediate, but there was a clear indication, black and white, that there would be other engagements at a later stage. That's the first thing. And of course, the immediate itself shouldn't be read to mean now as a term, switch off, switch on. It shouldn't. Last time I made an example that if you were driving a vehicle of the National Political Killing Stars team, and you had a suspect at the back of your van or somewhere, you wouldn't say, oh, immediate effect. As soon as National Commissioner received this, he wouldn't have made a call to say, release all those who are in your cars, throw the dockets and so on. That was not the intention at all. I even welcome the National Commissioner indicating at a later stage that when he responded on how to operate or implement the directive, that he came with the phased approach and all those matters. That is the two sides of the same coin. But let me go to your first part of the question. There was nothing wrong with the timing from where I sit, because I indicated earlier in my main affidavit that I wanted a situation where at the beginning of the year we would have something concrete and clearly identified that it's something that I wanted to get rid of, or I wanted us to persist with immediately amidst all other issues, because you tend to be overwhelmed when you work in this situation. You have to be very clear. I want to pursue this and this and this, and to me this was outstanding. But there was also that issue that I indicated earlier of some risks that came from the concerns of other people. Thank you.
But if I say you have to wait for the National Commissioner to go and have an acting person on his place, then you issue. If I'm saying that you fail to give the National Commissioner your intentions, because to me, the National Commissioner goes, then immediately, because the immediate effect comes in many ways. Immediately, the National Commissioner is not in the office. A directive is issued.
No, the immediate doesn't mean immediate when he is not there. It only related to the decision that I had taken, and that would then be engaged in or on in those meetings that I was indicating. If it was like a switch, I would have just said stop and not indicate the other meetings. And I'm persuading the ad hoc committee to recognize the preliminary report, the call for the preliminary report, and the other one at a later stage, UNESCO, which is very, very, very important and key in the department. So the immediate wasn't like I was awaiting the National Commissioner to go, and I did indicate that I was still processing until about the 3 days before the end of the year, processing my thinking. And I don't think I should be punished for not being able to process earlier. If I had come with some circling kind of decision on this matter like September, it would have been otherwise. It was just a coincidence that it was at the end of the year. Thank you.
Okay. And it is because, to me, it's on my side that immediately the National Commissioner is not in the office, a directive is issued. It's on me, not on you, Minister. You have answered your immediate effect.
But just note the 20th, that on the 20th, there was to be a preliminary report. He would have come back. In other words, the preliminary report wasn't called for while on leave. It was after he would have come back.
Did you have a trust in the National Commissioner in being able to do the job or anything?
Do I have the trust?
Yeah.
On many occasions, long after I got appointed, I did publicly express my confidence to the National Commissioner, and all records, for all practical purposes, show that we had good relations with the National Commissioner. Not once did we quarrel. But of course, this is a work situation. There would be a situation where he had an opinion different from mine or mine from him. But we had cordial working relations with the National Commissioner throughout.
I think, Minister, you know, when you had engagement with our SC, asking you about meeting the National Commissioner in a funeral on the 28th of December in KZN. You said you couldn't discuss the work related in a funeral. But to me, because I'm looking at this timing, to me, didn't you find it discourteous that you are with the National Commissioner, then 3 days after that, you're in a funeral, you don't even whisper that you're going to take this drastic decision of disbanding the PKTT. I'm raising this because this PKTT, I'm having a document here that was submitted today, and some of the issues are not correct, or that reflect on the political killings of the politicians. I know you have said that on the political killings, you didn't want it reflect the reducing crime. You talk about political killings on this task team, but you wanted to talk it broadly. But now you have the National Commissioner in a funeral together with the Provincial Commissioner. You don't even whisper that to the National Commissioner that you are going to take this decision. You don't even give the National Commissioner a listening ear. What would you say if I'm saying that I'm going to disband them on the 31st with immediate effect? Didn't give a hearing to the National Commissioner, and yet you knew the National Commissioner will be gone 3 days after that funeral.
I want to repeat what I said at the beginning. I had no solid idea. This is despite the funeral, that it's not normal that you would suddenly in a funeral remember but even if I had remembered, I did not have a solid idea of how to engage with the National Commissioner by then. That's why I said it was only after I started relaxing at home, 29, 30, and 31, that everything then shaped up in my mind. I under normal circumstances, if I had shaped up by then, I would have even asked for an hour or two, go to a hotel, sit, and relate this. But at that time, I was just busy still turning up this thing in my mind. It's different in an ad hoc comment because you are looking post. At that time, I was looking forward to have a solid idea of. I didn't even have 31 in my mind at that time. That come 31, I'll write a letter. To be honest, it didn't happen that way. I was just still checking or turning things in my mind how I would actually engage on this matter.
You know, those police that are in the hierarchy, that your National Commissioner, your Provincial Commissioner in KZN, they have a trust in you. Why am I saying that? It is because when we inquired about this directive, if you are saying that you met the minister on a funeral on the 28th of December, did you say he didn't even whisper? They said they think on their own, they think you signed that letter. Maybe someone wrote that letter when you can't say with immediate effect that you are disbanding the PKTT to show that they had trust in you. But now the I'm just raising it on this issue of the 28th of December, because when we're interacting with them before you coming here, they raised that. They said maybe it's not the minister who wrote that correspondence with an immediate effect. That's why I'm raising it, the funeral thing.
Factually, it's me who wrote the letter. Factually,
okay.
It's me who wrote immediately. And as I say, I had no solid view at the time on the date of the funeral, how I would deal with the matter. It only came once I settled at home for a few days, processing this in my mind. Thank you.
Then, Minister, I think maybe a rounding off in this timing of the letter, and now the letter is there. How would you expect to maintain a collegial work environment within SAPS, especially with the people that are taking decision, having a decision that you have taken with such, I've said, in effect, maybe the nature of the decision, such without consensus, taking a decision without consensus, then the collegial work environment with you and the generals there.
Let me say the first day or time when we met with the National Commissioner, the only thing we discussed in relation to the letter was in the context of it having leaked, that it could have been better if we handled the matter otherwise without the letter, because it then leaked and then unleashed unintended things going to other people for which it was not, or to whom it was not intended. On collegiality of the matter, I would take your comment kindly, and perhaps it is something that could have, if it had cropped in my mind, it could have caused me to make a call that, hey, I'm now taking this decision, having thought through in those 3 days. Now, I acknowledge that from you as a feeling, but I'm saying it shouldn't be construed that this matter was not of concern before that it had not cropped up in any meeting. The review, as minutes show, on the 1st and the 22nd, that we had in fact looked at the matter and commented the way we did before the letter was written. If you like, if there were strong feelings after those meetings of the 1st and the 22nd of November, I could have received a presentation that say we heard your comments, we have your statements of the 1st and 22nd. This is what we, in case you arrive at a decision, this is what we think that the matter could or should be handled. It could have happened, and I wouldn't have rejected that. So nothing came after those comments or the need for the review, which I shared with the National Commissioner and other people in management. But I'm not wanting to point a finger to anyone. I'm merely saying that there was a scope for us to engage before, and we did engage. But when I finally took the decision, it was not out of the blue. There was a context, as I have indicated before, including on the structure, including on implementation. There was a whole context, to be honest, and we were now pressed with issues of budget, as I indicated, that needed to be acted on. Remember, I just have 5 years as a Minister of Police, within which to deliver and make a mark on a very pressing kind of environment where people are dying. You need to act and act urgently.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, I know you dispute the fact that you didn't give a directive for the document to go to General Sbiya. But, however, can you agree with me that the effective or the effects of the directive that caused General Sbiya to take a chance and said the dockets must be handed to him because he saw a gap, because the directive is not saying anything about the dockets that the PKTT was dealing with there?
I wouldn't agree with you, Honorable Member, on that, especially because my correspondence was to the National Commissioner, not to Sbiya. I've never sent a letter whatsoever to Sbiya, no email, no WhatsApp on dockets. Everything was discussed overboard. In fact, to be factual, the first word on the how part was it came from the National Commissioner. Remember that the first document on the how part substantively came in the form of the presentation on the 5th of March, where we saw phasing out and all those terms. They had come with the letter, I think, of the National Commissioner on the 22nd. It's purely the National Commissioner who came with these terms, which were now on the operational side of it, which were quite reasonable, because that is the terrain that he would have let in quite properly. So whatever Sbiya did, he wouldn't have done that because I had said or done anything to him. And there's no evidence that suggests otherwise to what I'm saying. So it just didn't. So I wouldn't agree with you, except that it's one of the things that followed after, but it doesn't flow directly from what from the directive that I had given, because it was never to Sbiya. It was to the National Commission.
And can you agree with me, Minister? The consequential effect of the directive caused the dockets to land in General Sbiya's office because of that directive. Would you agree with me?
I won't agree with you, because in the first place, I'm not sure of any docket in Sbiya's office. but essentially because there was no word on dockets in my directive. There was nothing. So I wouldn't agree with you on something that I didn't write about having had a consequence. Or the way dockets would have been handled is a different matter. The way they were handled or could have been handled is a totally different process from the letter of directives.
Okay. Then can you also agree with me, Minister, that another consequential effect of the directive caused the halting of investigation, made everything to be at a standstill because the dockets, they were in between space because the people who were making investigation is the PKTT. Would you agree with me? It had an effect to the investigation and other documents that were ready to be taken to court. Would you agree with me that it had that effect?
Not exactly. Let me tell you why. Part of the conversation on the 6th of July was to the effect that I am accused of disbandment on the 31st, disbandment of the National Political Killings Task Team on the 31st of December 2024 with the sole purpose of protecting some people called criminal syndicates. And reference is made on 3 cases in particular. One is the Vereeniging case in Gauteng. Second one is the 2022 case of DJ, and the other one is Matlala. Those 3 cases in particular, which may opportunistically be linked to what you are saying, have nothing to do with the 22 dockets that, in fact, you may be referring to. Those 3 dockets, because it was insinuated opportunistically and totally wrongly that those 3 cases were affected after the directive. That's why I'm said to have disbanded, because I was wanting to protect some people in Gauteng, which is a lie and factually not the case. To a point where even if it disbanded the following day, those 3 cases would not have been affected whatsoever, because they are handled in Gauteng, they are handled by police in Gauteng, they were initiated by them, they caused arrest, and they are continuing. They are even arguing bail against those the people. It is them. So firstly, we should just separate that kind of temptation of beginning to link those the disbandment with those 3 cases. Let me come to the other ones, 121 dockets. Now, I was told at some point, and I do wish that the ad hoc committee also call people who were actually handling the dockets at head office, not just General Smear under whom it was happening, but to name a person that I know was handling this. It was General Sentumule and General Kumalo and General Motsipe. Those 3 people, particularly General Motsipe, under whom this was. You would hear a much more detailed, much more comprehensive report on each one of those dockets and the status. And I would then see afterwards if you would be of that opinion. Then you may come back to me and say, ask me whether I agree or not. Maybe it will be me saying, Honorable Member Sokanyile, do you agree with me that it is not what you thought at the beginning after hearing more comprehensive details on the dockets? I even happen to know that there was a call at some point when members of the National Political Killing Stars team called General Motsipa about a docket in the interim. And they wanted to proceed. And they thought that it was part of the 1-to-1 dockets. And she said to them, that docket is not part of the 121. Check in your dockets that are remaining there. And when they checked, they found that the docket was there. And they said sorry to her and so on. So I'm saying not exactly. Not exactly. And remember that according to the report that I'm aware of, some of the dockets were 2016 dockets. Some of them in later years, 2020, 2018, and SBIA came to this commit and did respond along those lines. But they are the people who know exactly the status of each. So it shouldn't be assumed in a blanket approach that each and every one of those dockets, while they were at head office, then it caused a screeches, a standstill, as you are suggesting, for the cases not to move. So, not exactly.
Can you assist me here, Minister?
Pardon?
Why do you always put an N before the PKTT? Because it seems as if we've got the PKTT knowing it was working nationally, but to stress this N when you speak about the PKTT, why is it important to put that?
I stress what?
The NPKTT. Then us as the ad hoc committee, because most of the people who came before you, they were talking about the political killing task team. Then you put that national.
Yeah, I want to suggest that they were not even talking about the political killing task team. They were talking about PKTT. That was the word that was running more than political killing task team. But I am using that because it is proper to do so, because this is what it was created to be, and this is what it was legally and formally and official. But you can use whatever other references and so on.
Say that we
but it was what it was meant to be.
Okay.
Yes.
You know, General Spear was here before you. We'll say that because the document, the dockets were in his office. 3 or 4 months, nothing was done on some of those documents. If you listen to what was said, I'm just raising it not to say respond on that. I've heard your answer that we must ask so and so on that. But we did establish that 3 or 4 months, those dockets that were taken or which they find themselves in General Spear's office, nothing was done to them.
Perhaps not exactly. That's not what I heard. What I seem to have heard and are aware of is that those dockets were, got to be worked on after handover. And there are quite a lot of things that happened when they were to be taken to the serious and violent crimes unit in KZN. So resulting into a fair conclusion that it wouldn't have even taken that period if the process of handing over had become smooth as it was envisaged. but there were hitches among officials between KZN and nationally on the matter as they handled the dockets. But even that period, when they were still at head office, they were being worked on. And there was even an investigation ordered by the National Commissioner where he appointed General Pategile to go and investigate, and they asked for the dockets. And so they were being worked on in one way or the other. And they were not just lying there, as it had been said on the 6th of July. Otherwise, that they were gathering dust and so on. It turns out that it was not necessarily the case.
Okay. Then lastly, Minister, in the circumstances, would you agree with me or this ad hoc committee when I say that your decision undermined policing and crime efforts?
It undermined
and crime
what?
fighting efforts.
Undermined what?
Policing.
Policing. Okay.
Yeah. And crime fighting efforts in relation to the work that was done by the PKTT. Because during the existence of the PKTT, everyone agrees there was reduction, especially on the political killings, because that was a target.
I wouldn't. I've just read a statement that General Mchunu made to Madlanga Commission that PKTT, as you would want me to refer to it, was at work. That's what he said in Madlanga. In other words, he says, although I had issued that directive, but they never stopped working on anything. So we can't ignore that statement. That's number one. Number two, if you say policing was hampered in any way, I think it's over-exaggerating those matters that were dealt with by the National Political Killings Task Team at that time, and taking it for policing in the whole country, which is an error. It's far, far, far from that. Let me just indicate to you the report that was subsequently given by National Commissioner through the head of National Political Killings Task Team, General Kumal, to the Portfolio Committee on the 5th. He speaks about 7 murders. No, this year, last year, 2024. In 2024 that they dealt with. He speaks about 1 murder by the 5th of March, 2025. 1 murder in KZN. That is how far a reduction had gone in terms of political killings in KZN. Now, if you say that docket, for instance, that was dealing with this 1 murder on the 25th, those 7 murders that are indicated on the graph on the 5th of March, and you refer to them that this was policing, that was disturbed, that was hampered, I will not agree with you. There were thousands of other cases, and there were activities throughout the country. And I do want to warn that we shouldn't, and I said it in my main submission, that we should not mistake the work of the team, the National Political Killings Task Team, for a substitute of policing in South Africa. It shouldn't, because once we do so, we are making a factual error. And it would lend in a sentimental way to people in South Africa to believe that at some point I took a decision that caused things to stand still in the cases. This was work of the political killings task team, and as and when I did this, there were 7 fresh cases that were being dealt with in 2024, and as reflected in the report that he gave on the 5th of March, which was 1 case, a fresh case, plus the dockets that were being dealt with, of course, under investigation. So I won't agree with you once more.
Okay, Minister, lastly, I've got a document that we received this morning. When I inquired about it, I was told that it came yesterday through your lawyers. Then this document, it tells a report on the global initiative against transitional organized crime. Then it says the politics of murder, written by Ruby Mutamba and Kwaita Tobela, May 2024. Then if you're going to look at page 14 of the document, it reflects about councillors killed leading up to the elections of local government, November 2021. One of the people that is said to have been killed in October 2021 is Xolile Nkompela. You know Xolile Nkompela, I think, during my era as the mayor. Xolile Nkompela, a municipal speaker, was ambushed and killed while returning home after campaigning for the ANC in Tsolo, in the Eastern Cape. Xolile Nkompela is still alive. And kicking. And the document here that is brought here to the ad hoc committee, it reflects like this. Because if Xolile Nkompela can see this, you know yourself, Minister, you can say that it's me who said he has been killed. He's not killed because I was the mayor, he was the speaker.
It in fact even reduces the number of the councillors that were killed and erroneously registered in the document as having been killed, which would increase the number. It means that the number of councillors...
Was it not done deliberately? That were given a document to come to us, reflecting Xolile Nkompela being killed, so that we can say that it reduces the number, Minister.
No. The report is not written by me. It's written by a global initiative. But I'm saying the effect thereof is that if we thought that that report was accurate, it would mean that the number of councillors killed is plus or inclusive of that councillor, when in fact it is minus that councillor. It means that it's an error.
I think we must put it straight. Xolile Nkompela is still alive.
And that is great news.
Honorable Sokanyile.
And that is positive news
The report
from where I sit.
The report that you refer to, who brought it here?
I went to the lady to ask.
Is it part of your
document?
Is it part of your submission,
Part of
Minister?
the minister's
Yes, sir.
submission.
Yes, it is me who spoke to my lawyers to bring that report to their attention. And if there's an error, all we need to do as a collective is to, on my side maybe, raise my hands and say there was an error on the side of the global initiative. But in essence, that report talks about 4 categories, as I spoke last time, 4 categories of murder in South Africa, and KZN in particular, and give estimates which I believe are quite next to accurate from where I sit. But if you are then suggesting that just because there was that error, it shouldn't be. We shouldn't register the contents of the whole report. I would disagree. Errors do happen.
Honorable Minister, may you please confine yourself to the statement about Kompela? Or if there is another Kompela, because I know where I come from, you may find in a village you have 5 or 6 Mulapila Khanyan. So what is your response to the name that has been mentioned there? I have noted the honorable members, Honorable Skosana and Honorable Shonga, I'll give you time to speak. If we can just deal with this part of Mr. Kompela.
I have no reason whatsoever to doubt the honesty of the honorable member, who I happen to know personally, Honorable Member Sokanyile. I believe that she's correct in what she's bringing my attention to.
Okay, Honorable Skosana. Are you fine, Honorable Sokanyile? Okay, Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think it's appropriate, Chair, for the Minister to downplay what we were given and were told this document is part and parcel of the Minister's submission to us. And I mean, it means we must discard this information which were given to us, because it means he did not peruse the document, whether it's his lawyers, but he must take responsibility of this document. He can't downplay this. I mean, we're given this document this morning. We're told by the lady to say this document comes from the minister. It can't be downplayed, Chair. I don't think we are really. We have to take this thing as easy as that. That, you know what, the minister is distancing himself from the document. It can't be, Chair. Please protect us, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Shongwe.
No, Chair, I was in line with the Honorable Skosana, but Chair, please protect us. So, Minister has a tendency of ukusibonisa indlela akhuthele ngayo. Ubuzwa lo mbuzo asiphendula into yaseJohn yakaJohn waseNiniva ayilandele kude, and that takes his isikhathi, Chair. So siyacela ngasibonisa ukukhuthala kwakhe. And number 2, Chair, if leli phepha ezenalo yena akalithembi akasitshele manje silijikise, ngoba if already said ne error A1, how many more are there? So we must deal with this document immediately. Ukuthi do we accept it or not? If uthi li right linje asiqhubeka nalo linje, sazi ukuthi uxola ubani lo la uphilayo. Oh yabona ke. No, thank you, Chair.
Do you want to say something, Honorable Ngola? Okay. No, Honorable Minister, the members are right. You have to take responsibility for the material that have been submitted before us. Especially that you make reference that these submissions have been made through the assistance of your legal team. You can imagine if Mr. Kompela or his family or people who know him are following the proceedings now, it may cause a very serious inconvenience on his part. Or if I arrive at home now, I just switch on television and I hear that Mr. Kompela is no more, I start sending messages of condolence to his family, because it's something which is being said in Parliament. I don't even have time to check the veracity of such statements. I think it can cause very, very serious inconveniences. And I think you, here on record, you must apologize for submitting that material, but also make an apology to whoever it may concern. Thank you so much.
I take full responsibility. Even before, I didn't say it is just lawyers that brought it, and I said I did insist that that report be brought to my lawyers. I didn't disown the report or that the fact that it was brought in here. And so I take responsibility of ensuring that the report is brought in here. But I do acknowledge that it is clearly written that that's the Global Initiative report, which I identify with by and large. But I acknowledge that it has that error in relation to Councillor Kgompela. And for that, I apologize to the family and anybody else whom it affected as such. It shouldn't have been that way. Thank you.